Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zolotech, and today Apple had their last event of the year, at least we think it is, their October 2016 event that focused on the MacBook. So the MacBook is okay, the new one that they showed, but let's first talk about what they had at the beginning of the event. So the beginning of the event, they showed accessibility and a really interesting video about how people with disabilities are using different things that Apple creates to help them create. So basically they're using iPhones and Macs and using some really neat accessibility things. In the video that they showed, they were showing them using Final Cut Pro to create, and I thought that was pretty interesting. So I'll leave a link to all the different videos I talk about in the description below. I hadn't seen that before. I didn't know you could use that in Final Cut Pro, so it was really neat to see that and see what Apple has done for that. So aside from that, they talked about the iPhone and its sales with the iPhone 7 Plus and the portrait mode and all the stuff they normally talk about, and then they moved on to Apple TV. Now, Apple TV is pretty neat now that it has apps. It has over 8,000 apps, over 2,000 games, and that's available. And they're adding Minecraft to that for those that like Minecraft and play that game. They're also adding a new Twitter and video app, or Twitter is going to have video. It wasn't really clear. They just showed some of that off. And aside from that, they're adding a new Apple TV app. And that Apple TV app should be pretty interesting. So basically it combines all of the different apps that you already have into one app consolidated. So say you download CNN, Fox TV, maybe HBO Go or Showtime. And then you have apps that or TV shows that you usually watch individually on each one of those apps. Now you can watch live TV based on what you have and basically search, and it will bring it all into that one app. So as you add them, NBC or whatever network you're watching your different show on, it will add those shows into the one place and give you suggestions based on what you've watched. And when you search, it knows what you're looking at, and it'll bring up the most recent episodes, all sorts of really neat things. And hopefully this is a move towards a better TV future where they kind of change things around so that it's easier to find all the content we want. After they moved from the Apple TV, they went into the MacBook. And the MacBook is what we were all looking forward to and expecting. And it basically looks like the renders that you may have seen all over the internet. So the MacBook Pro comes in 3 different models. We now have a MacBook Pro without the trackpad at the bottom, or the touchpad at the top, rather. We also have a new 13-inch MacBook Pro with an OLED Retina touchpad at the top and a 15-inch one with the same thing. Gone is the MagSafe connector, which is pretty disappointing. That was a great way to basically prevent you from pulling your laptop off a table when you're using it if someone tripped over the cord. That's all gone, and they've replaced it with 4 USB 3, or what Apple's calling Thunderbolt 3 ports. They share the same type of connector. So now if you don't have USB-C or Thunderbolt, you'll have to buy adapters until it becomes a standard, which it rapidly is across Android and different laptops and Apple, and hopefully the iPhone maybe next time. I'm not sure, but it is licensable, so they could do that. And they've basically got those 4 ports. You can charge on any one of those ports, and they've kept the headphone connector, which is great, the 3.5 millimeter headphone adapter. I'm assuming that's for people that also want to record, but without that, that would be a big pain for me, especially when I'm recording things. So along with that, it's got the 6th generation Intel Core i7 Skylake processors, which is pretty disappointing. That's 1 generation behind, but it's the same generation as what Microsoft had yesterday in their new Surface Books and things, their updated Surface Books. And it's also lighter, it's thinner, it has a better display on it, it's 25% brighter. It also is better on battery, maybe, we don't know, they haven't said. It also has 2 different colors now, silver and space gray. So we now have space gray instead of silver as an option. And then it's brighter, a better contrast, more colors. And then on the 15-inch, you get a Polaris GPU, which should be pretty fast. That's the one I actually ordered, and we'll check out later when I get that in. But it's got a Polaris GPU in it, and that should be pretty quick. And then we also have faster storage. Also better sound with better speakers, 2 times the dynamic range. And that's pretty much it. The touch bar at the top was the big news. And basically what that lets you do is basically do things a little bit easier, supposedly, while you're in different apps. So say you're in Final Cut Pro, the timeline's there. Say you switch to GarageBand, You might have a timeline there or some different controls. You switch to mail, you've got mail controls. You switch to Safari, you have your different tabs down there. And different application makers can basically adapt this however they want and make it look more refined for their application. So if you're in Pixelmator, they'll have that updated as well. Aside from that, they also announced that they're partnering with LG to do their next displays. Gone is the cinema display, and now LG is going to do a 4K and a 5K USB-C based, or USB-C or Thunderbolt 3, whatever you want to call it, display with a camera and charge ports and everything else built in, just like basically a cinema display, only from LG. Aside from that, they updated some applications, updated Final Cut Pro, the iWork suite, so Numbers, Pages, and Keynote, and they showed that Word was updated from Microsoft to work with that new touch bar. They also showed new versions of iMovie, and some other things were updated as well. Aside from that, that's pretty much it. They're pretty expensive. They're not really any less than before. And what they're doing is they're getting rid of the MacBook Air. The MacBook Air isn't being updated anymore. They're replacing it with a 13-inch MacBook Pro. So now we have the 12-inch MacBook, 13-inch MacBook Pro, 13-inch MacBook Pro with a touch bar, and 15-inch MacBook Pro with a touch bar. They start at $1,499 for the Pro and go all the way up to over $4,000 fully configured on the MacBook Pro. Basically, the storage bumps it up $1,000, which is pretty ridiculous, actually. I ordered the base 512 megabyte 15-inch one just because the storage was so expensive, and I'll use an external disk with it anyway. But that's basically it. They haven't really announced anything revolutionary in quite some time, and it's a really nice MacBook, I'm sure, but it'll take some time to see what it's like. It also has thinner travel keys, but not as bad, I guess, is some people really don't like that other one. Oh, and it has Touch ID. I forgot to mention that the new MacBook has Touch ID on it. That's nice. I can pay for things and unlock the MacBook with. But I'd like to hear what you have to say about this update. I'm not really sure how I feel about the MacBook, especially compared to what Microsoft announced yesterday with their Studio edition of their Surface. That was pretty phenomenal. Their MacBook, or their iMac competitor, that's a touchscreen, and that looked pretty nice. I'm still considering trying one out or ordering one. I'm not really sure, but I'd love to hear what you think about the new MacBook in the comments below. I'll leave a link to all those things I talked about in the description below, and if you have any other suggestions or things you want to know about, let me know as well. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe and like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.